I'm Brian Van from SportBikeTrackGear.com, and today we're going to do a video review and overview of the all-new Schuberth SR1 full-face helmet. We have not had the opportunity to ride in this one yet. The model that we have here in front of us is actually the ECE version. The helmets are identical. The difference between this and the one coming to the States is going to be to achieve the DOT certification. They have to make some minor modifications to materials used in the shell, which results in a little heavier weight. Not a big deal at the end of the day, but a little heavier weight. So, everything I'm going to give you today is informational, okay? To qualify, we've not yet ridden in it. We expect that we'll be doing that inside of the next 30 days or so. And you better bet we'll be back with another video to let you know our thoughts on the performance of this helmet, because I think that's going to be a key component of this. Schuberth and full-face helmets. At this point, I don't know that those two names are commonly heard together, or that most of us that are thinking about helmets think about Schuberth and full-face. I think we're thinking about Schuberth and flip-up. Schuberth has some phenomenal design, engineering, and manufacturing capabilities for head protection. Phenomenal. Where this helmet came from was Michael Schumacher has ridden Schuberth helmets in F1 for years. Decided to leave F1 and do some motorcycle racing. Being a Schuberth rider, or I should say racer, for years, it was a natural fit to get him involved in the development process for this helmet, which is their now flagship motorcycle helmet. So they took everything they had learned with their F1 helmet, they took all of Michael's experience, mixed it all up in a blender, spent about a year doing it, and the final result was the SR1 that we're showing you here today. The manufacturing process of their helmets is all done in Germany, in their factory in Germany. High level of quality, very high level of quality, very strict quality control. The one thing that I do want to touch on is the process for which they make the shell. They have their own proprietary vacuum molding process that results in a shell that has equal thickness at all points. It's very precise. That's not a hand operation, a human operation. The machine takes care of actually forming the shell. And like I said, it results in an extremely even shell, which can give lighter weight, more structural stability. Those are key facts for sure. Let's talk about the fit of this helmet. This is a large that I have here in front of me. We've benchmarked it at the shop, and I would say that this fits as I would expect for a large helmet. You're looking for a race fit with this. We're not looking for, some uber comfortable old couch style, I'm going to cruise around on the street, have a casual ride. This is a scalpel. You know what I mean? This is aimed at a certain demographic, which is high-end road racing, track day riding, canyon carving, or the rider that has the best of the best street bike and wants the best of the best full-face helmets. That's what this is designed for and nothing else. Those type of helmets, you want a good, snug fit. In order for a helmet to work properly, it needs to fit properly. So, all that being said, this large, in my mind, is a large. I would say it runs consistent with what I would expect. Features and benefits of this helmet. Ventilation. They've got a bit of a unique system here. In the chin, they have a multi-position vent that's going to vent directly into the chin. Just above it, they're billing this as a CO2 regulator and humidity control. Effectively, what is this going to do? It brings some air up onto the shield, circulating it around. Intake vents here at the top. The action on these is super smooth. These are molded into the EPS at a 45-degree angle, which is going to be the most appropriate for the type of motorcycle these are going to be ridden on. Behind here, and we'll show you this, there are 10-millimeter holes. A metric ton of air is able to come in through here. Come back around, and here are the exhaust vents back here. Once again, 10-millimeter holes. This helmet is able to exchange 3.1 liters of air per second. That's a big number. And Schuberth is able to determine that because the design of this helmet and the engineering of this helmet is all done in-house, and they have one of the best wind tunnels in the world, period. One of the quietest wind tunnels in the world, and they rely on that to design their helmets to a certain specification. Noise and noise regulation. You don't normally hear the term noise regulation with a helmet. They built a really cool feature into this helmet. This helmet will operate at 88 decibels, which is mega quiet for a full-face race helmet. You're able to tune that. Let's say that you want to hear the bikes, you want to hear the road more. There's a couple of different ways to do that. We're going to show you the first component right now, and the second component once I've disassembled the helmet. The first component is with this switch right here. This isn't a vent. This actually is able to control the amount of noise that enters the helmet that you can hear. This is positioned right by your ear, and you're able to turn that on and off. Of course, it's on both sides. D-force, downforce regulation. This is here so that, let's say that you're out, you're riding on the track, you're spending a lot of time in a full tuck. When you're in a full tuck like this, it can be hard and fatiguing to raise your head with certain helmets. They've designed this so that in that condition, you're going to lift this up. It is going to make it easier to bring your head up and have a good field of vision. Conversely, if you're riding on the street, you don't need that. Just push it down so you're not going to have that extra downforce. You're not going to need it. Stability of this helmet. They are billing this as the ultimate in full-face helmet stability. How do they know that? It's all the wind tunnel testing that they've done with it, all the feedback from Schumacher. That's how they know that. Once we ride in it, we'll qualify that. That's an area where all helmets are all over the map. There's some companies that do a really good job with it, some companies that try hard to do a good job with it and it doesn't really work out so well, and some they just put the helmet together and you go out and you ride in it, and whatever it is what it is. They tried to design this thing to be super stable, zero buffeting, helmet shield system. They put a lot of engineering behind this too. Their goal was to try to keep the shield on the helmet in the event of a crash. We've got a shield lock, push back, locks the shield so it can't come up, push forward, allows the shield to come up. Multiple positions. I don't know that you're normally going to ride around in a helmet like this with the shield cracked, but the first position is not super high, so you could do that if you want to. Shield removal. It's a little bit different on this helmet. There's a button here with the Schuberth logo on either side. What I found is the easiest way to do this is, first off, the shield has to be all the way down. Secondly, each button has to be depressed. Push both buttons in and lift up like so. And it comes right off. You know what, it's a little bit different. You got to do it a couple of times, but once you kind of find your own style and a great way to hold the helmet position, it was like I just did, it becomes very, very easy. Putting it on is super easy. Literally take the alignment pegs, I don't know if you're going to be able to catch those on the camera, Josh, and just align those with the tops of the channel. Pretty self-explanatory, right? Once you get the helmet in your hands. Put that in there, hold both sides in, force the shield down, just like that. Pretty simple process. So once again, to remove, I like to push both in. I'm using my thumbs, pushing up with my index finger, off it comes. Let's get to the inside of the helmet now. Let's talk about the liner a little bit. Moisture wicking, uber comfortable. I mean, this fabric feels like it's something special. Okay, there's a couple other helmets out there that are doing this real well. This fabric feels phenomenal, okay? I'm confident it's going to do all the moisture wicking, everything as designed. Here's a unique tip. There is kind of a rubberized material right here. The purpose behind that is for those of us that set our helmet on the tank of our bike, the stuff's got a little traction to it. And the concept is it's to help hold your expensive helmet on your motorcycle if you make a bad decision like setting it on top of your motorcycle. Personally, I would recommend setting an investment like this a whole hell of a lot closer to the ground or on a large surface, because the last thing you want to do is watch this thing bounce up and down on the pavement. No fun there. There's some reflectives built into this right here in the neck roll. That's great for street riding. Headlights hit it, it pops. Schuberth also has spent a lot of time developing an anti-roll-off system. It's just the way they design the helmet, the placement of the chin straps. There's a couple other straps that are part of the system. At the end of the day, what does that mean? It means when you have the helmet on and it fits properly and you've got your chin strap on, the helmet does not roll off your head. I know it sounds laughable, but not everybody does a really good job with that. Okay, I know you think, oh, I've got it strapped up, it's going to be great. Well, that's not always the case. They spent a lot of time to make sure the helmet stays on your head. Fully removable, washable, replaceable liner. One other keynote with this liner is going to be the cheek pads used in the area where if you happen to wear glasses, right, and need to slide your glasses into the helmet, the cheek pads use a different fabric where the glasses would slide in, the arms of your glasses, and also a little different density with the cheek pad foam, so they'll come in and go out easily and comfortably, and you're not tearing the sides of your face off. So they put some thought behind that too, which is really nice. To remove the liner, super easy to do, high quality. There are 3 snaps on each cheek pad. Reach in there, disengage those, go ahead and grab a hold of it. This plastic portion here that is stitched to the cheek pad actually tucks between the EPS and the outer shell of the helmet, and it's essentially held in by friction because you got to kind of work this back in there with your fingers. Repeat the process on the other side. Give it a nice light tug, out it comes. If you ever need to replace it, these parts will be available too. With the top pad, they did something a little bit different here. There are no snaps in the top pad. Sometimes snaps in top pads can create hot spots in the helmet where you kind of feel it, right? So they decided to develop a system for this top pad where there were no snaps whatsoever. So to remove the top pad, basically just pull out. That is essentially really held in place by the cheek pads because they extend way back to here, all right? So that came out really easily because the cheek pads were out of the helmet. Come to the front of the brow. The leading edge of this top pad slides into a locking channel, like so. Here's our top pad. And you'll notice there are channels in the top pad that work in conjunction with the ventilation in the helmet. See if we can get a good look at the EPS. Can you see any of the holes or the channels in there, Josh? Should I rotate this? The holes, especially on the back, are done in such a way, they are so big. I mean, I can literally right now, I can hold this helmet up and I can look right at the camera. They're massive. They are 10 millimeters in size. I'd also like to note the covering over the EPS. They do this because that also helps to reduce noise. There's air moving around inside this helmet, obviously, with the channels and the holes in the EPS. By having this felt covering on it, that helps to quiet it down a little bit too, so that's kind of a neat tip. Now, on both sides of the helmet, right by the ear pocket, there are these pads. These work in conjunction with these vents out here to regulate the noise, part of their noise regulation system, NRS. You're able to move these around inside the helmet to literally customize and dial in the amount of noise that you're able to pick up on from the surrounding bikes, the surrounding traffic. That's a pretty cool thing for sure because everybody has a different tolerance for it. Some people, they want to feel like they're all alone and they want to hear as little as possible. Other people need to hear more of that, especially if you're racing. You want to hear somebody a bike length back. You know, is somebody fixing to show you a wheel? And by being able to dial this in, you can choose what you want to hear or what you do not want to hear. I got to tell you, I think that's it, and that's a tremendous amount of information. I feel like I've been up here talking for about a half an hour. I've got an S2, and that is the full face helmet with the drop down inner shield, okay? Meant for the street. I've used it on the street, I've used it on the racetrack, and I got to tell you, massively impressed. I really like that helmet. I put it up there with all my premiums, for sure. This one, I am extremely excited to ride in because I view this one as a top level, if not the top level, racetrack oriented helmet. They've done a lot of things with this helmet no one else has ever done to really hit that segment, right? They're hunting with a sniper rifle instead of a scattergun. I mean, they made one helmet and they aimed it at one thing, okay? It's a very small segment, and it's awesome they were willing to do this. A couple of the things that really help, see the cutout in the back of the helmet? That is there so you don't have any negative interaction between the hump on your road race suit and the helmet. Yes, there are some helmets out there, I can think of a couple right off the top of my head, where with certain suits, only certain suits, I have had an interaction between the back of the helmet and the hump. It's a pain in the butt because it makes it hard when you're really laying on the tank, you're trying to look through a corner, your helmet's hitting the hump. Yeah, that kind of sucked. They thought about that. This whole noise reduction thing, okay, that is definitely track oriented. The D-Force, absolutely track oriented. I mean, normally, on the street, riding in a tuck like that, you just don't do that. I mean, it's not as critical. So they've done a lot of things here to aim this straight at the racetrack. I'm impressed. I can't wait to get my first ride. This is our first look and overview of the all-new Schuberth SR1 full face helmet. I'm Brian Van, sportbiketrackgear.com.